few years ago, I took a nutrition class, and I learned this concept there that it shouldn't be so oblivious to Americans like myself, but it was this concept of learning to be sensitive to our bodies, to what they actually need, and then providing that. So what I realized is that most people are unaware of when they're even hungry, and as I was as well, and I'm not sure I've moved far away from that per se, but I digress. But so I became just awe-inspired by that concept that we could be sensitive to what our bodies are actually needing, not only when they're needing food, but what kind of types of food they might be needing. What types of nutrients might my body be desiring to be satisfied? And so what I've realized about the spiritual life is that as much as sometimes I'd like to go and live on the side of a mountain away from society and delve into all the great Christian literature and the scriptures and prayer, fasting, that's not what I'm called to. I can appreciate some who feel that calling. That's not me. And so on the other side of that spectrum, I also don't feel called to neglect prayer, to neglect devotion to God, to completely live separate from knowing His voice, knowing His presence, knowing the Word, knowing a prayer life. I don't think grace covers my lack of relationship with Him. I think that grace is for relationship. So there's a balance there that I've learned in and out of various seasons. That some seasons demanded more of my time to really sit before God's throne, and some seasons, like the current season I'm in with children, it's basically difficult to put in the type of time that I would love to with God. And so He's walked with me through those seasons. There was 5 or 6 years ago, and I was walking along this path that you're seeing me walk down now, where I was just listening to God. It was kind of part of the morning where I just chose to listen instead of talk or read or whatever. Just chose to try to listen to see what God was saying. I felt like Him say, I can do something with this. As if to say, the thing you were giving me the days prior, the weeks prior, wasn't enough for me to work with. Like, you got to give God something to work with to help shape your life, to help develop you spiritually. And if you're not giving the adequate amount, then you can expect not to have a lot of growth. So I don't know what that sounds like, but it is what it is. But my point is that over these next 21 days, I would like to begin to put a bead on what we're needing, kind of back to the metaphor, or the example of eating. Like I want to get back to a place where we realize what our bodies need when we feel like God's calling us away, that ache to come and be with Him, that we respond to it, that we're not just tone deaf to His calling and insensitive to His needs, as well as Him helping us to recognize that we need more of Him for that day, or week, or month, or season. And I can say a lot more about that. I didn't realize that topic was so ripe. But my point this morning is that as we prepare for our 21 days, I would challenge you to prayerfully consider how you're going to alter your devotional life over the next 21 days. Are you going to add, cut aside an extra time period that you normally wouldn't? Are you going to wake up a little earlier? Are you going to stay up a little later? Are you going to set an alarm in the middle of the night, which I've done, and I'm not a big fan of, but those times can be so sweet, especially times that seem to be not just in the preface of the day or the preface of a meeting or the preface of a thing, but in the kind of romantic moments of the aftermath or the middle of the day kind of stuff that just doesn't make a lot of sense to any kind of strategy to gain strength from. It's just a component of just romance with God. And so my challenge to you is over the next 21 days, how are you going to alter your prayer life? How are you going to alter your devotional life? From where it is. And I believe that'll be easy for you to decide how you're going to do it. Feel free to share that with anybody here. Feel free not to share it. I think what we're talking about is such a secret. It's best kept secret. These things are private, and I think they're rewarded abundantly when they're kept in private. So anyway, so this will be the last year for me, I believe, until the 1st, which is Sunday. And I'll release a devotion, and hopefully we'll have some conversation about some of this stuff. Love you guys, excited for what's coming. See you Sunday.